Yesterday was the International Human Rights Day, and it came, as members know, a week after the tragic death of Jonathan Corrie across the street. It came on a day when tens of thousands of people gathered outside this House to protest against government policy on water, many of them seeing the water policy as a public rights issue. And it came in the aftermath of the frightening expose by RTE of the inhumane treatment of residents in Ars Attracta. I would put it to you, Minister, though, that one of the most dangerous places for women and children in this country is in fact the family home, and that one of the most basic rights is for people to be able to enjoy the residential amenity of their home without fear of violence, be it mental or physical. And we have a huge problem in this country with domestic violence. We're told that in excess of 18,000 reports were received last year by Women's Aid. The Garda Inspectorate reports to us a concern that while 11,000 reports were made to the Gardaí, only 287 arrests were eventually made. And we're conscious as well that since 1996, 204 women died, most of them in the family home, and most of them at the hands of either their husbands or ex-partners. Now, a start in addressing that awful problem would be to look at the crisis of funding in Childline, because Childline provides support to children in situations where extreme violence exists in their homes. 45,000 children called Childline last year. The service was established in 1998, and they now indicate that they cannot continue to provide a service in the evening. Can I ask you, Minister, if you will ensure, number one, that the Minister for Children will move now to augment the funding, the additional funding being raised by Childline, to ensure that these services continue to be available? And can I ask you further, is your government prepared to move now to approve the Istanbul Convention and to provide the necessary resources to ensure that this state can start in a real and meaningful way to combat violence against women up and down the length and breadth of this country?
Thank you, Deputy. Minister.
I thank the Deputy for raising what really is a very important issue, multifaceted issue, the issue of domestic violence and the related issue of gender-based violence. It's one that there are specific campaigns being carried on by the state to alert people to it as an issue, because by its very nature, unlike violent crimes that occur on the street, a lot of it is invisible even to the Gardaí. And in many instances, people are so intimidated within the domestic setting that it is not possible, or they feel so intimidated and so inhibited from any reaction that it goes on for multiples of years. So I think the issue is a real one. It is multifaceted in as much as we need to have more than one response. And I think the availability of outreach helplines are something of importance, not only on the one that the Deputy has instanced, which is Childline, which is specifically focused on children, run by the ISPCC, a very important charitable organisation in this state, but many others run by the Rape Crisis Centre and various other organisations, including the Samaritans, that are available for people who are in domestic crisis to reach out. And obviously, too, we need to ensure that people can reach out to the Garda Síochána in such instances, because violence against anybody in any setting is a crime. So I will certainly discuss with the Minister for Children the 2 points you raise, the adequate funding to ensure that Childline, as one of the important lines, is available, and also the current position in relation to the Istanbul Convention.
Deputy Seán Fearghaíl.
I welcome your response, but I think it's pretty inadequate, Minister, because first and foremost, I think we need a pretty clear commitment at this stage to Childline. That is the point to which children at risk direct their attention. That is where they expect to receive the sort of psychological and emotional support that they so desperately need. And the sort of money involved, 600,000, is not astronomical, and it's not beyond the ability of the Minister for Children to give a commitment to provide that money. The second point in relation to the Istanbul Convention. It is through ratification of the Istanbul Convention and its practical application here, and through the provision of resources to enable its ratification, that we can do something meaningful about combating violence, particularly against women, up and down the length and breadth of this country. We are already in a situation where the number of women's shelters are hopelessly inadequate. I see in my own constituency a situation where a hostel was built, it remained empty for 2 years because the resources to open it were not provided. And when eventually some resources were provided, only half of the residential units were effectively open. Are we going to have to wait, Minister, until a woman or a child is brutalised to death in their homes before action is taken in the way that meaningful action has, in effect, been taken by government in the aftermath of the tragic death of Jonathan Curry?
Thank you, Deputy. Minister?
I think that an awful lot of particular actions have been taken, not only by the state directly, but by a whole panoply of local organisations. I know the Women's Refuge in my own hometown of Wexford being one, which is there with significant HSC support, but also local authority support and public support, which is really important. And that model is replicated across the country. So there's an enormous amount of focus and voluntary effort, as well as state support for the very things that the Deputy is underlining as important, and importance that I absolutely and fundamentally agree should be afforded the issue of domestic violence. There are two things I'd like to say in relation to this. One is one of the biggest difficulties is giving the capacity to people to make that reach-out call, to walk into a shelter. For many people, that is a very difficult psychological thing to do. And that means better communication, better presentation, better understanding at local level. In relation to the... In relation, I wouldn't be flippant about something as important as this, Deputy. In relation to the issue of the helplines, as I say, I will discuss certainly with the Minister for Children the specific helpline you talk about, but it is one of many helplines that are important in this area, because as I said, Childline is a helpline that is aimed at children by definition. But what the Deputy is instancing is primarily violence against women. And there is a range of other helplines, including the ones I've instanced from the Rape Crisis Centre and others, that all must be resourced to ensure that an adequate communication system is available for people who are in peril or in danger or have been abused to reach out. And of course, the most important step for them to take is to call the guards.